Okay, so after doing the first video about the cloths, how to create amazing cloth simulation with chaos cloths in Unreal Engine 5, I got a comment saying, hey, this is great, thank you very much. Can you do it with a skirt? There is a problem with the legs when it moves. By Musho Football, or Musho Football. Sorry if I mispronounce your name, but this is what the viewer wants to know how a skirt would move, because apparently they have an issue with it. Something about the legs, that the skirt penetrating the legs, or it doesn't look realistic physics-wise when he walks. Thank you very much. I will be waiting for it. So I've decided to go ahead and do it. So first thing what I did, I went into Mixamo and I downloaded the Xbot, which is this character. Just went into characters and I got rid of advanced and just went to Xbot. I just wanted something very, very simple. Here it is. Just normally, the T-Pose FBX, downloaded to the computer, and then I downloaded a few dancing animations. So went into animation, check dance, and then we have a lot of dancing moves right here. So I just picked up a couple, and I want to check them in Unreal with chaos cloths. And that's what we're going to do. So I took this, which is very simple character, toes like a mini rig. So we'll use that. Nothing that I did was, after this, I went into Marvelous Designer. I don't know if you guys know what how to use or what Marvelous Designer does, but basically you create your own cloth, to create your own clothing to the character. So I've made a dress. The nice thing about Marvelous Designer is that you create it, you use sewing and all that jazz, and then you can also basically simulate it in Marvelous Designer, and you can see how it folds. Let's just give it a little bit less faces so that we can see the simulation going a little bit faster. So you can really drape things over, and you can really make things look proper with cloths. And after that, what I did was I basically selected the object or the dress. I kind of thought that this dress would fit our character, our Xbot. And I stopped the simulation, and then I just exported this into Maya. And from there, I made sure that it's got some sort of a texture, and we'll see how it looks in Maya. What I have is the dress, and I had to reduce the number of faces because it arrived really, really dense. So all I do is I go into modeling, I go into mesh, and I go into reduce. And in reduce, much reduction do you want? You want 50%, you want 60%, 80%, and that way each will basically take away the number of triangles from your dress, because it comes in very dense depending on the simulation that you do in Marvelous Designer. But I kind of like the way it looked here, and then I just gave it a little bit of a shader just to make it look kind of semi-spunny and maybe pleasant to look at. And of course I've exported the FBX of Term Mixamo with the joints into Unreal, and I've also exported the dress the way it was. It is not skinned, it is not bound to the joints, it is just a static mesh. That's all it is. That is how we got out of Marvelous Designer, and that's how I exported this into Unreal Engine. So let's export the dress now. Let's do export selection, FBX. Let's go to Dress Me, FBX, and we'll call it, I think I have it here, but I will do it again. You know what, let's do the two. It'll overrun it. Yes. Okay, that's good. And then we can jump into Unreal Engine. I've only imported in the Xbot rig from Mixamo. It's got the joints, it's got everything. This is a skilled mesh. And now I want to go into the character, Let's go to X car, which is our character. We have animation, so I've imported the animations that I wanted to use. If I press on this, go into the editor, you will see what animations I picked. There you go. This is the first one. I've picked up this one. Will be interesting to see with the dress. And I've also picked up a normal walk. It's table. Very good. So now what I need to do is exactly what I did in the previous video, but for now, for this, go into the dress and let's import the dress into our scene. Import, and I'll check, there you go, full dress, low poly to FBX, and I will check here. Let's see if I have to check anything. No, it's somewhat scaled on mesh, and let's do the import all, and there you go. It has the sleeves. It doesn't have the checkered texture, but we can probably do it later in Unreal Engine. So we have the dress. If I drag it here and zero it out, you will see that it jumps on our rig, which is exactly what we need. It comes to the right size, which is awesome. And we've done it before, but we don't really need it here because we're going to use it differently, if you remember correctly. And now I'm going to just run fast through the procedure of creating the cloth. So I'm just going to skim through it, and it's going to be fast forward. But if you want to see how it's done, I'm going to leave a link in the description below to the video that I've shown how to do it in Unreal Engine. But let's go ahead and let's do Xcar of the dress. I'll create a folder called cloths. Go into it, and here I will set for cloth asset. There you go, and I'll call it X art amount cloths. Density, let's do 0.2. Head stiffness, that there, I think that was fine. Go back to here, to this 4, this 3. Let's put it in some animation. Let's do walking. It's not bad, but sometimes we do need to change some things. First of all, you can change, don't be afraid to change the drag or the collision thickness. What if I do 2? Is not bad. I think the 2 works okay. Another thing that I will change or play around with, the density is fine. The edge stiffness, don't be afraid to take it down if you need to, so it'll be less stiff. 1 is the max, but if you do, let's say 0.2 until up to 0.5, so it's not as stiff, then the cloth will behave differently. You can see that it's behaving really, really light. It's very, very light. And I'll show you what else you can do to make it look a little bit better. So if I go into the simulation, and I'll go into simulation config right here. What if I check, and I'll insert a second arrow, simulation aerodynamics. This is something that I think you can benefit from, of course. So I'll drag this over here, and I will connect this to the set physics. And now here I have another node, which is the wind. Just want to check and see how it looks with wind attached to it. So I will take that, I will give it, let's say 5. And you can see that there's wind happening. And of course, because I've changed the stiffness of the curves, you can see that it looks very, very light. But it does look more like fabric. Of course, I will let go of the wind, but I think that the wind is very important to have. So if I go back to the physics here, and I will check the edge stiffness back to 1 and 1, because I kind of liked it. And I will check the wind now, put it to 5. Here you go. Of course, everything could be tweaked again. I can repaint or smooth it a little bit more. But we have I will show you the collision of the rig. Let me open it. There it is. So I did make some changes because from Mixamo, it did not arrive the way it is now. So it's very easy to do. All you have to do, you have to make sure that the objects or the cylinders that are basically the collision object, that they are attached to the proper joint or the proper bone. So in order to do that, you can go here, all bones, so you can see where the bones are. When I first imported the rig into Unreal, it had one object for the whole back, and I did insert another one. It had something to the pelvis, and that's it, and one big cylinder for the back. So I did add another one, and I kind of shaped it the way I wanted. If you don't know how to do it, it's very simple. You go into the spine, there it is, select that, and I will right click on the spine, and I will do add shapes and add a box. So you can see that it added another collision, which is shaped like a box, and this will go with the joint. I don't need it right now, but this is how you do it. This is exactly how you do it. It's very easy. Let me just scale this a bit. I don't like it when the collision shape is super, super big. But that's all it is, guys. So let's say I will take I will do that thing again. If I take the right leg joint right here, I right click on it, and then go to add shape, and then it shows you what shapes you want to add. You can add a sphere, a box, or a capsule. For these ones, I used capsules, but you can add whatever you want. If you want a sphere, it will create a sphere-shaped collision project, and that's all. I just deleted it. Also, what you can do, because the wind is blowing right now on 5, let's do 8 so that you can see the difference. You can see that the wind is a little bit stronger. A little bit stronger. Let's keep it on 5 and leave it. Don't forget to add the wind, because it's super, super cool. Okay, so here, let's go back here. Again, you can add the stiffness. Right now I took the stiffness off. Sometimes you do need to change the stiffness because that's how you make the clear cloth behave the way you want it to behave in Unreal Engine, or to behave like the natural, or as close to natural as you can. Same thing with bending stiffness. You can play around with it. Don't be afraid to play around with it. Let's do from 0.2 to 0.5 so you can see what happens with it on, or you cancel it and see what happens with it off. You really have to play around with it. You can see that the reaction here is a little bit different. Another thing that I would like to change, play around with all those things. Stiff area, just go to like ridiculous numbers and see what happens to the clock, the way it behaves. You can really get to really nice results with it. Collision thickness is 2. If I do 0, we'll see if it makes any difference, because I have the wind, and I want to see what happens with the hand here as it crosses the dress when the wind is on. So right now collision thickness is 0. If I do 8, we'll see what happens. You can see that it dips more into the dress and drags it. And damping. Damping is important. Damping is important because it gives you, the dress will react. You can have so much control, because if you don't want it to be too wimpy or too loose, you can really give it the damping. By using the damping, it will give the dress or the cloth that you're using a little bit more realistic attributes. So let's do 0.1, 1.5. That's not bad. Really is not bad. Of course, I didn't paint the sleeves as cloth, which is fine. I just wanted to show you to answer our friend with the cloth on the legs so that it would look more realistic. Of course, with the wind, it looks really, really cool. Okay, let's save this for now. And let's save this. Now, one of the most important things that you have to do is make sure that the physics asset, which is basically the object that will be the collision objects for your best for your cloth, that is very important that you make it accurate. So that make sure that these objects are proper and they look the right way, so that everything would work nice for you in the scene, so it will not have weird shape to the body. It's very important, super important. So now that we have that, let's save this and let's save this again. So we have our dress for now, but you can see how interesting it looks, so much better than what we had before. Okay. The scene selected. Add cloth. There though. Cast cloths. Add spot cloth. And we have our dress, which is nice. So now if I press on play, we can see that the cloth has the wind and it is ready for animation. Now, as you can see here, I'm not doing selected viewport, I'm doing simulate Alt G, which only simulates. It's not playing the game, it's not starting the game. It is actually just simulating the physics. So now that I have that, let's go into character animation. Right click and do a sequencer, and let's do level sequence, and I'll call it Yes Me. Double click here. I'm going to add our character, and in animation I will do walking 1. Make sure that you take it all the way. And now when I play it, it does this. In fact, I can now simulate this and then display. And we have our animation. Let's actually get a little bit longer. Okay, let's try a different animation. What I see is something that I want to check. If I go into Xcare, let's go to dress, and let's take this, make sure that it is two-sided. So we'll do the same thing with this two-sided. But you can see that it does work. Let's go back to the content. Let's go to cloths. Xcare, let's go to animation. So we have Hip Hop Dance 2. Let's try the Hip Hop Dance 2. And there you go, she's dancing her hip hop dance with the wind, and everything is the way she thought it would be. But if I go now here, the wind is fine. I don't mind the wind. But what if I go into and I make the damping a little bit smaller? Let's do 0.05, and I'll save it. I can see that the dress behaves a lot different, a lot different. It's lighter, it's not really, there's less resistance with the wind. It's a really, really different behavior to our dress. Let's make it a little bit more dramatic. So I'm holding now Control plus L and I'm tipping the Control press down. And once I see this gizmo, I'm still holding the control down. I will just move the mouse around just to change the lighting or to change the directional light to where I want it to be, to see what is more dramatic, better color, maybe have to something like this. Which is super nice. And I let go of the control, so then I move the mouse, it will not go, it would stop doing the directional light. Now in the time dilation, I can even make it a little bit slower. So let's do it 0.5, and let's start the simulation and start the animation as well. So we have a slow motion walk, flying in the wind. Nice. Now what you see, those artifacts and all that, that is just the mesh. I just messed around with creating a lower poly mesh. And also, if you remember, there's also self collide. You can do the set collide. It might take a little bit more resources from your computer. So if you go back into the cloth node and you go into the simulate, use self collision, if I press on it, you can see that it takes a little bit longer to calculate. So if I do go to lower number, so you have, it goes a little bit faster. Try and see what your computer enables you to do, and then I'll save this. It will still be a little bit slower, but it's still worth the try. And then play it. So you can see that if you want to render this, of course it would be better, because when you have self-collide, when you have so many folds and so many wrinkles in your cloth, it takes a little bit more to calculate this. But as you can see, I have a big collision object on the hand itself. So, and of course I also have the collision number to 5 or 6 or even 8. So you can see that the cloth starts moving before the hand actually reaches there. So it's just something that you need to take your time and establish what you want for your cloth. But overall, I think that it actually works not bad. It actually does look like a dress flying in the wind, while the figure is moving forward or walking in space. This is the potential that you have to do with chaos cloths. Now, what I do know is right now this is version 5.3 of Unreal Engine, and I know that 5.4 is out, and chaos cloth has changed just a little bit. But I know that once 5.4 releases, but as a final release, according to Epic Games announcement on GDC this year, gonna have a cloth simulation just like Marvelous Designer for cinematic quality cloths, which I think it's going to be super exciting. So hope it gives you it gives you the answers that you needed. It gives you some maybe ideas of how to do and not to be afraid to test and check things to see what works for you in terms of the simulation and what you need. And really, if you like it, please hit the like. If you haven't done so, please hit the subscribe button and use the comments. Tell me, let me know what you think about it. And until the next time, guys, Goblination.